everybody, welcome back to the No One Cares podcast. And my name's Adam, and I'm joined once again by my friend Jared.
Hi, I'm Jared. What's up?
And we're about to spin the wheel and see what random bullshit we get to talk about today.
Yes.
Because we're the No One Cares podcast, and we talk about shit that no one cares about except for us, and sometimes other people as well.
Yes, and if you enjoy us, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring our bell, ding our dong, sign up for our Patreon, because, that would be great. That would be awesome. Hope you enjoy.
Ring my bell.
Yes.
Ring my bell. Wheel of random, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the bullshit that we shall learn about each other.
We're all learning today. Sports! Sports! Yeah.
Oh boy.
The thing we both know so much about. Hi, sports fans. You're going to love us.
I'm going to offend so many people.
Oh, man. Oh, my friend David doesn't listen to this. Hi, David. Love you.
Okay.
Go sports ball.
Okay.
No, we actually do know some. We actually do know some.
I don't have that high regard for sports, but I'm at least courteous enough not to do the whole "hey, sports ball" thing.
Oh, I'm not. I'll do it.
Yeah. I'm at the very least courteous enough to not do the sports ball thing myself, but that's only because...
Well, here's the thing. A bunch of jocks make fun of nerds all the time about the stuff we do, D&D. Oh, that's nerdy. But then, so I have no problem making fun of them. Sports ball, go. Like, why should I care about what they think about me when they don't show the same courtesy? So, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I enjoy sports. I'm kind of making fun of myself, too. So, I enjoy some.
Sports for me is a very fine line of 50-50, because the majority of sports, I'll watch sports.
Question: do you have a favorite sport that you actually
Bowling.
do enjoy watching or
Bowling.
participating in? Bowling.
Bowling.
Okay. So do you actually bowl or do you watch bowling?
Oh, I bowl.
You do bowl. Okay.
I do bowl.
How long has it been?
Yeah, it was within the last couple of months.
Really?
Yeah.
You bowled in the last couple of months? Cool.
Yeah, I went and bowled with my wife, kids, and a buddy of mine and his family.
Are you pretty good? Do you have like a technique down that you like to use?
I haven't professionally bowled in a good while, but yeah, I used to be pretty good. Like, I was one of those people who could roll 200s.
Oh my gosh.
Over 200.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I used to be able to get 200s on a really good day.
Yeah.
And then over 100s just on average.
There you go.
I think normally I could roll anywhere from like 150 to 175 just on an average.
I can get over 100. I'm doing pretty good if I get up, because I can consistently bowl without throwing a gutter. I can at least hit some pins.
And
beyond that, though, it's hit or miss.
I know
sure.
there's a lot. I already know there's a lot of people out there who say bowling. That's not a sport. You just throw the ball down the lane.
By that logic, golf is not a sport. By that logic.
But there is, as weird as it is, there's technicalities to bowling that most people do not give credit towards. Because
it's kind of an art form.
Now, and this is probably gonna be the only there's only two sports that I can actually provide logical commentation towards and actually partly know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Number one's gonna be bowling. I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about mostly.
Yeah.
On bowling. Number two is, oddly enough, MMA and boxing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I watched a lot of boxing with my dad and MMA fights on TV with my dad.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of stuff he watched.
Right.
And so I would kind of watch it secondhand, or I would sometimes sit with him and watch those shows.
Yeah.
And I did get a kick out of it because I like martial arts. Like, I've always been a big fan of martial arts. Mm-hmm. And so MMA was my kind of, not exposure to martial arts, because actually my exposure to martial arts was like all the kids in the 90s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was my first introduction to, wait, what is this? What are they doing? Why are they trying to hit these putty men or whatever they were called, the putties in the chest? Oh, they have to hit it there so that they die. If they don't, the putties stay around. I don't know. And I was just a kid. I had no idea what I was watching.
Yep.
But it was kind of crazy watching all these guys in like tights do a bunch of flips and like punch a shark to death, a shark man to death. Like it was bizarre. But I have very fond memories of waking up and watching Power Rangers.
Yes. Every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like the two sports that I could actually provide
insight.
Insight, yes.
There you go.
I can actually provide good insight on bowling and MMA and boxing to a point. Bowling more than the others.
Yeah.
Just because, again, like, bowling is in my family. I will say that bowling is basically in my family's blood.
Right.
Like, my grandparents on my mom's side, their house, bowling trophies in every freaking room.
Oh,
they had bowling trophies stacked in every single room, and not just one. They had them lined.
So they consistently kind of played bowling professionally.
Oh yeah, like I think my my grandpa was an unofficial official pro bowler.
Oh, okay.
Like he bowled enough to be pro league, I believe.
I mean, did he ever win trophies? If he won some trophies, I mean, I kind of consider that. You know, you're bowling at least competitively on some degree.
Yeah.
So
and like I said, their house was just lined in bowling trophies. They had boxes of bowling trophies. They were in the living room, guest rooms, laundry room.
They could have built a shrine if they wanted to of all their bowling trophies. Oh yeah.
And like that's the most vivid memory I have of my grandparents is like their cavalcade of bowling trophies.
Yeah.
And so like with that, my mom and my aunt were big bowlers. Like everyone on my mom's side of the family were just big bowlers.
Yeah.
When I got older, my mom joined the local bowling league.
Yeah.
And like I would go with her to the leagues just to just so she could watch me and whatnot. Because I was still young, I couldn't just be at the house by myself.
Yep.
That and I didn't feel like staying at the house by myself anyway. Because I got more entertainment out of watching them bowl. Because I actually liked.
You enjoyed watching it and doing it.
For as weird as it is, it's literally just people kind of taking a few steps up to the line and then throwing the ball down the alley. But that to me was far more entertaining to watch than people going back and forth rapidly on a field and either being tackled down into a cloth-covered orgy or...
Yep, the penises are definitely involved, 100%. I say from experience. I've been in that pile before. Good times.
But yeah, it was just... That was entertainment for me. I liked bowling. I enjoyed it. When I got old and when I got into high school, I got angry at high school because like they started a bowling club 1 year before I could join the bowling club. Like a bowling club formed, and I was like one grade below qualifying for it. I was like,
I gotcha. So you just barely missed out.
Yeah, and like then the next year I immediately signed on for the bowling league because again that was the sport I was good at. I could actually contribute to a school bowling team. Like I couldn't contribute shit to basketball or anything else.
Right, but you were good at bowling.
Yeah, I was good at bowling. When I graduated high school, and I was one of my school's, I'm not gonna say best, but I was one of their better bowlers.
Yeah.
Like, again, I was one of those kids who could decently hit high hundreds more often than not.
Right, yep.
And then when I graduated, I went into the same local league that my mom was playing in. And I bowled on her and my aunt's team.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I bowled regularly for years.
Right.
Like for the longest time. That was basically our family event, was bowling. That was our family game.
I enjoy bowling. I'm not that great at it, but I enjoy it. You know, I don't even have a technique. My technique is walk down and try to stay in the middle, and that's the whole thing. And sometimes I fail miserably.
Yeah,
at that, you know.
And that's like my buddy who we were bowling with the last time we went. I confused the Air 11 out of him because like I was one of those bowlers. I had the special ball. I'm one of those bowlers who had like the weighted balls.
Do you own a bowling ball?
Yes,
you do. Okay,
yes, cool. I've owned several.
Okay,
We both do.
Oh, y'all both do. Sweet, cool.
I've owned several bowling balls.
Okay.
When I first started, I started on just the straight. And yes, there are different kinds of bowling balls.
Oh, 100%.
Not just weight based, but
even
like
I know
styling
that.
based.
Style, yeah. Even I knew that.
I started on the straight balls because that's pretty much what everyone starts on is a straight ball. And then once I started getting really serious in bowling, I went to a curve ball.
Okay.
And my aunt and my mom were the ones who taught me how to bowl with a curve ball.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a different ball game.
Oh,
when you're first learning how to use a weighted ball, it's a different ball game.
I imagine.
Like the thing with like a straight ball is a straight ball, you're pretty much aiming for where you're wanting the ball to land, and you're hoping it basically stays in that lane. With a curve ball, you're aiming at where you're wanting it to land, but you're more or less trying to get it to that point.
Yeah.
Like, the moment you let the ball go, it's not going to be at your trajectory point, but it's going to curve into that point.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when I say aim for where you're wanting it to go, for those who have been in a bowling alley, there are where you're going to go stand, where you're starting, there's the dots on the floor. Those dots are basically your starting marks.
Yeah.
For most people, you're going to start on like the center dot. And that center dot is basically be where you start from, and then you move, you go forward, and then you release the ball like right at the edge of the alley. When what you're going to aim for in the alley is the arrows that are in the alley. And more often than not, like if it's just a fresh set, like everything's set up, all the pins are standing up, the best place to hit to get the most pins, to get a strike or just whatever, your default spot you're wanting to hit is like right at the side of that front pin.
Yeah, the side of the front pin. Yeah,
like right in between the front pin and the left pin behind it.
I understand.
That's basically like where you're wanting it to hit, and that's more or less where you're going to get most of your strikes.
Because for the record, if you hit it straight on that head pin, you're gonna get a split. Almost
every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Oh yeah.
And
you don't want to go right down the middle. You want to kind of go to the side a little bit.
And that's just the thing.
It's almost like you're going for the heart on a human. You don't want to go directly in the middle of the chest. You want to go off to the side a little bit.
Yeah, more or less. That's like basic knowledge. That's like that was the basic knowledge of what I learned growing up. It wasn't until later, and it wasn't even my mom and my aunt who really talked about this very much. I learned this bit of information just from bowling in different alleys and like actually watching bowling on ESPN of all things.
Right.
But like there's different stylings of lanes as well.
Yeah.
Like there's dry lanes and there's wet lanes.
Oh my. Yep. Please go on.
Dry lanes are basically the lanes that like when a bowling alley is opening up and getting set up, they send basically a machine that's going to go and like smooth out and clean the alleys.
It's almost like a. I wonder if it's like an oil or a wax. I'm not really
sure. It's a wax.
It is a wax.
It's like an oil wax.
Yeah, and I've always wondered.
And what that is, depending on the alley, and also when you get there, sometimes if you hit it when it's just fresh, like it's freshly been waxed and whatnot, your ball is gonna spin like a motherfucker.
Yeah, does the ball get a little bit greasy too?
Yeah,
greasy ball.
That's why you see people with like the towels and they're
Mm-hmm.
like cleaning their bowling ball and whatnot. That's where they use the towels to kind of like clean them off and whatnot to kind of get rid of that excess grease.
Yeah, makes sense.
I
know they have like the dry thing, but I think like where the ball comes up and they have the air coming out. Is that more like for your hands?
Yeah,
to, like,
that's more for your hands.
See, that's what I thought. I wasn't sure, but
yeah, that's more for your hands because believe it or not, your hands are gonna get fucking sweaty.
Oh yeah,
while you're doing this,
you're playing sports. Yeah, of course, your hands are gonna get greasy
because you're gripping onto the finger holes. Yes, I know how dirty this game sounds.
We're 12.
But you're basically gripping the finger holes, and you're gripping those things for 12 to 13 frames.
With intention. Yeah, exactly.
So your hands are going to get tired. They're going to get sweaty.
You're going to get sweaty. So you want your hands to be dry when you start.
Because if your hands are like slick, your ball is going to just slip out of your hand. Right out of your hand.
There has been
there's been more than one time where like the ball has literally fallen out of my hand because I didn't have my hands weren't dry enough.
Yeah.
And they're like the worst thing that can happen is if you're mid swing back
and it goes backwards.
Yes, and that has happened. Ooh. I have had that happen before.
Ooh,
it sucks.
Did somebody get hurt?
No one gets hurt because as soon as they see a 15-pound ball,
they get the fuck out of the way,
flying at their face. They're like,
dodge! Mamma mia, that's a spicy meatball. Yeah, that would suck. I've always wanted to see that though. I bet that'd be entertaining to watch. Somebody's ball just go flying out behind them and like crash, and like all the bowling shoes and stuff kind of go falling off the shelf. That would be awesome.
I can't remember if this actually. Don't remember this actually happened, but I think there was one time I remember it happening to someone at the local bowling alley that my family bowled at a lot.
Oh yeah.
And the ball flew out of their hand, and it went all the way up to the register. And like, because they got glass cases that kind of show off like their wrist stability equipment and stuff like that. The freaking thing went into the glass, into the plexiglass case.
Oh, that's bad.
It didn't shatter, surprisingly enough, but it did crack the fuck out of it.
It did crack it. Oh my gosh, that's rough.
Yeah, it was. It was a day.
Good times.
The difference between dry lanes and wet lanes is with wet lanes, your ball is going to spin a lot more.
Yes,
and
it's good if you want that spin.
Yeah, if you're wanting that spin, then wet lanes are your friend.
Spin to win.
Dry lanes they still have wax on them, but it's not nearly as heavy.
It's been dried. It's just kind of been sitting out there.
So your ball is going to grip into the lane a whole lot easier than with a wet lane. Because, again, wet lanes, your ball is going to spin and go down the alley a lot quicker, versus if it's a dry lane, you got more friction and traction with the ball. So it's going to go down faster, but it's also going to be in a straight line. So if you're a straight baller and you hit your mark wrong, it's going to go from, I'm going down the
Yep. Makes sense to me. So my experience with sports is mostly American football, and that's mostly because my parents, growing up, especially my dad, growing up, he's like, oh, my boy ain't going to be no wussy. You're going to play sports, boy. And so I was pretty much forced into boys club baseball. And I've always not been a fan of baseball, but I was pretty much forced into it. If you're going to be my son, you're going to play ball, boy. And so I played baseball. I did play basketball, and I played football. I played all three of those thanks to my dad and everything growing up. But growing up, when I was little, when I was a kid, I didn't like any of it. I was not a fan. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just knew there was a bunch of dudes yelling at me to do something, and I just wanted to go home, But now, when I got to junior high, I actually took a personal interest in playing football at the school, because it was this whole thing where it was it was this stigma where people knew, ooh, if you got into the football program at the junior high, you have to like really be tough. It's really difficult, and it's, you know, not everybody can do it. And in my mind, I like challenges like that, and I'm like, we'll see how it goes, you know. And I actually enjoyed it. Like, yes, it was tough, but the whole thing that appealed to me with American football was not hitting somebody as hard as you can, running up and down the field. It wasn't like really the sports aspect. It was more of the strategy of the play calling. Mm-hmm. Because believe it or not, even in American football, there is some, you have to somebody needs to use their brain to figure out what kind of plays are going to be called. And you can really throw the defense off. You can really mess with people depending on what kind of play you call, the cadence. There's actually a lot that kind of goes into it. And even on defense, you can do little tricks like there's a play called a blitz, where a blitz is basically you're taking yourself out of whatever your assignment is, and you're just rushing the football carrier as fast as possible, and you're trying to take them down. That's a blitz. And so what you can do is you can do fun things on defense, like you can look like you're going to make a blitz, but then you actually, you know, pull back and you stay in your position. That can really mess up the quarterback, etc. So I say all that to say there is strategy involved in the game. Oh, yeah. And that's actually what appealed to me, is like the play calling and the strategy. But, you know, like in junior high and high school, we're just kids, and your coaches, at least where I live, we live in the South, and the coaches, you know, they were just all, you know, get in there, push yourself, you know, get your butt in there, boy. And they just like call the same damn play over and over and over and over and over and over again, like 10 times in a row. And so when that happens, the defense is going to know what the you're about to do, because you've done the same damn thing over and over again. Yeah. And so in that environment, it was just kind of stupid. It was like, it was very much the boneheaded, meatheaded, you know, football style.
Yeah. And like, that was what kind of deterred me from high school or just school sports in general.
Because, like, you can't just win by beating your head into a brick wall over and over again. And that's the way they played. And, you know, we lost a lot of games because that was the way the coaches did. And even looking back now, and I kind of knew this then, it's like, look, if y'all change the plays up a little bit, if y'all kind of change what you're doing, we might actually be able to do better and actually score some points and everything, you know? Yeah. And even back then I thought that. And now looking back, I'm like, yeah, I think even I could have probably made the play calls better than some of the freaking coaches did.
Probably.
But yeah.
But, like, my school sports, there weren't many. I'm going to be strictly honest. Like, for the longest time, my school didn't even have football. Mm-hmm. Like, my school didn't have football until, like, after I graduated.
Yeah.
For the record, our school did not have football. It did not have soccer.
Yeah, right. Oh, it didn't have soccer?
It did not have soccer. If you wanted to play soccer, you had to travel to one of the other schools. They had a co-op with one of the local schools.
Did the school actually have a soccer field?
No.
At the school. No soccer field at the school.
No.
Okay.
We had basketball, we had softball, and we had baseball.
Yeah.
We didn't have volleyball, we didn't have tennis, we didn't have
pretty much any sports.
We really didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
but I told you before, my graduating class was 23 people.
Yeah.
His was only like what, 25?
32.
32, so his was a little bigger than mine.
Yeah.
But like, we were a tiny little school that was already a merger of 3 others.
Right.
I think in the school system, our school was like a, 2B?
Something like that.
Yeah.
For those who know how the school systems work, our school was like a 2B or something like that.
Yeah.
But you say that you didn't have volleyball, but I strictly remember that they did have volleyball at our school.
You did at some point?
They had it at one point. There was not enough interest, and so
it fell apart.
It fell apart because they did not have a full team.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
Because by the time I was old enough to join the volleyball team, there was no longer a volleyball team.
Oh, okay.
Because I was the sports nut. I guess I'm part of it this week. I was
you should be.
I played softball. I played basketball.
Yeah. I played some basketball too. Not really like in a league or like at the school, but I played some basketball too. I enjoyed it.
I played from the time I was old enough to join the team.
And you were on the team too?
Through high school.
Nice. Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I love basketball. I loved basketball. It was one of the things I enjoyed. I missed out a lot in high school because basketball was not an after-school activity. It was literally its own class in our school. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, because our school was so small, most of our classes had only one class period available.
Right.
And basketball, almost every year for the last 3 years I was in school, landed at the same time as math.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because I was good at math, my math teacher decided I needed to be in her class and not playing basketball. So I missed out a lot the last few years.
So did you miss out on basketball because your math teacher in your math class? Oh, no. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, our school was pretty heavy-handed in the factor of, you get to select your school schedule.
Unless your
but not really.
But your teachers get the last say in what your schedule actually is.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
By the way, hi, Miss Editor.
Hello. You should definitely join us more often in these discussions, for sure.
I don't have much to offer on most weeks, but sports is one thing I can comment on. Mm-hmm. At least more than Adam.
I enjoyed basketball, too. I played for this church that I played with. They had this upward basketball program. And the funny thing is about church basketball is they neutered a lot of the normal basketball rules, and they sort of came up with their own rules to make it safe and nice for the kids. It was very pampering. And I mean, I still had fun, but now looking back, it kind of sucked. The actual basketball system kind of sucked. It's like, okay,
wait, they made church appropriate basketball?
Yes, and they still do that to this day. But what it is, they have all these things where no contact, no physical contact at all. Physical contact is straight up a foul, and you get free shots. No physical contact at all.
So even if it's like accidental, or you just briefly kind of like,
oh yeah, that's 100% a foul.
Even if it's just like boop,
100% a foul. You can't. Oh, once the kids are in their positions, the kids cannot switch positions. They have to stay in the same basketball position the whole game once they're assigned. You can do substitutes. You can substitute a kid out for another kid. But when the substituted kid eventually goes back in, no matter what, they have to stay in the same position. Let's see. There was some weird rule about if you do a layup. Okay, I shit you not. I'm trying to think. I think if a kid goes for a layup, you have to get out of their way. I don't think you can go up to try to block a layup. I want to say, like, basically
they
exactly.
That's the whole. I don't know shit about basketball, but even I know.
I'll say it again.
That's the whole point.
The church basketball, it sucked. It did. I enjoyed it, but now looking back, I'm like, man, they really neutered the rules. Like it sucked.
I mean, okay, again, I admit, like, I am not very informational on most sport. Not informational. Knowledgeable. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Knowledgeable on most sports. The only reason I've been starting to learn a bit more about sports is, oddly enough, another podcast that I listen to. Go my favorite sports team. Woohoo! Markiplier and Tyler Schneid. Schneid. But yeah, him and Markiplier basically do this podcast where they talk about sports and all that whatnot. And so, listening to them, I've actually been learning about sports, and it's done in such a format that I actually get entertainment out of it, and I actually retain knowledge of what this sport is. And
like, and go ahead.
Like, I probably could right now give you a play-by-play rendition of what it was they were talking about, but I at the very least have a better understanding of how the game works.
Yeah.
Because that was always the biggest thing for me in, like, school for sports, was like, and like at the time I didn't, as I said before in like our mental
podcast episode,
our mental illness episode.
Yes.
I have ADHD. Like, I was diagnosed with it as a kid. But like when I was a kid back in the 90s, ADHD wasn't really something that people just knew
it's a recent development, the diagnosis and all that. It's
there
pretty
wasn't
recent.
that much known about it. So a lot of the symptoms that I had showed with my ADHD was kind of just looked over, and I never knew that was a subject of ADHD. So like when they would go to explain how the game worked, their words would hit me.
Yes.
but none of it would stick.
Right.
Like, they would be talking, now I'd be looking and trying to understand what they were saying. It's like,
yeah.
What?
You say that again? Yeah.
And, like, the kids would get frustrated with me until eventually they were like, just take the ball and go dribble it down there. Yeah. No, what are you doing? You're telling me to dribble.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you're a kid, you don't understand. You have to be clear with kids, and you have to make them understand. But a lot of the coaches that coach kids, and I dealt with this too when my dad made me play, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But, you have to really let a kid know. You can't just say, go down there with the ball. And, like, the kid's going to be like, okay, but what the hell am I doing? You have to be more clear. And I think a lot of coaches are not. I mean, especially like in the South and here, where it's pretty much just dads.
Especially with neurodivergent kids.
Neurodivergent kids. And it's just a bunch of dads that are coaches, yeah.
And, I mean, that was my thing with sports. Like, that's why I never joined any sports team. Like, I was part of my, no, it wasn't my school softball team, but
yeah,
I used to play softball.
Yeah,
softball or baseball?
Softball. Like, it was legitimately softball. My parents pulled me from baseball as soon as I got old enough to play hardball.
Right.
Because it wasn't so much they didn't think I could do it.
Yeah.
It was more of a thing of, we probably couldn't have afforded the funds it took to play the game.
Right.
B, they weren't sure I would be able to focus enough to not get my head smacked in by the ball.
Yeah, but thankfully it is softball. Thankfully, at the very least.
That was my biggest thing while playing softball. Is I would get bored.
Yeah,
I would get bored just standing out in the field.
I did too. They had me in outfield,
and I would lose sight of the ball.
Yeah, when I played baseball as a kid, most of the time I just stood out in the outfield, not doing anything, and it was boring as hell. And I'm like, why is my dad making me do this? I hated it. And it sucked.
Oddly enough, I did like playing the game.
Yeah,
like I actually like baseball. I liked playing baseball. It was just a thing of I wasn't good at it. Like the thing I was good at was hitting the ball.
Yeah,
I could hit the fuck out of that ball.
Oh yeah,
but I couldn't. I did. My biggest weakness for baseball specifically is depth perception.
Depth perception. Mm-hmm.
I had zero depth perception when it came to throwing, when it came to catching, when it came to anything like that, because I'm blind as a bat. Number one,
I am too. Without even back then, I got glasses in what grade was it? First grade is when I got glasses. So I've been blind a long time.
I literally got glasses first grade. They almost flunked me in first grade because
due to your eyesight.
Yeah, because I wasn't able to do any of my work because I couldn't see it.
You couldn't see like the board and stuff. What was
I couldn't see the board or anything. Yeah. So it was kind of like, well, we don't know why he's failing. It's like because I can't see.
Can't see anything. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
but like that was the big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just depth perception was a very difficult thing for me.
Yeah,
like I couldn't. Like, I could see where the ball was going, but my depth perception, even today, is terrible.
Yep.
Like, that's one of my big things when I'm riding in the car with people.
Right.
Is my depth perception is so bad. Like, they'll be able to see fine how close they are. Mm-hmm. I can't see how close you are.
Yeah.
Like, you will fully know, like, okay, I'm like 5 feet away from this other car. I'm fine. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm in the passenger seat, like, you're getting close, 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 you're getting so close!
Objects in glasses may be closer than they appear.
Pretty much! And it sucks!
Yeah.
That was the big thing, and why my parents didn't want me going into hardball was just because they were afraid that I would go into one of my daydream phases, and all of a sudden...
the ball smacks you or something. Yeah.
Adam, catch the ball! What?
Bonk.
Where am I? You're in the hospital, son. Why? Because you got knocked out.
Softball was the other sport I played, and I played it all the way up till high school.
Yeah.
Unlike y'all, though, I was not outfield. I was shortstop or pitcher more often than not, and occasionally first base.
Yeah.
And there was a stint that I was catcher as well.
Yeah. And catcher's a tough position for anybody who knows about baseball. Because catcher, you have to stay in that position for a long time. You have to be able to move quickly from that position, and you wear more gear than anyone else on the field. So catcher's a tough position.
I did not play catcher very much. I did not like it. I played it. I was decent at it, but there were others on our team that were better. And so they're like, okay, we're going to try you out on this position. You're okay, but we're going to put you back in these other ones that you're good at. I'm good with that. I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
I did not like
you have to be pretty good to be a good catcher, and it is physically demanding. That I do know.
Like, through school, there was basically one spot when it came to sports that I would have liked to have been a part of.
Yeah? What's that?
That was sports commentary.
Oh, yeah. You would have been good at sports commentary with your voice.
I would have loved to have been able to be just part of the sports commentary for the schools. I would have been happy as hell to do that. The thing was,
I would have gotten fired immediately because I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. So I would have gotten fired immediately.
The thing is, for me, is like I know jack about sports. So, yeah, I could have been the sports commentator, but I wouldn't have been able to tell them like what was going on in the sports commentary. So that was the one kind of issue I had with going into sports commentary.
Yeah.
And like I hated that because like I always wanted to be that guy behind the mic.
Yep.
I like
you would have been great. Yeah. Because you get to be kind of theatrical, like, are you ready? From the right dugout comes number 82, Brad Johnson, up to bat.
Let's see how he does. That was shit.
You would have been so good at that, dude.
Like I said before, my dad watched a lot of boxing. I literally memorized the way that the boxing dude started. Let's get ready to rumble.
That sort of theatrical commentary, to me, is what keeps people actually watching the game, because a lot of times there's a lot of downtime where not a lot's happening. Even in football, you do a play, people walk back in huddle, call a play, walk up to the ball, do a cadence, run the play. Same thing over and over and over and over again. And so it can get a little bit repetitive, even in football. And so the commentary is sort of what keeps the game alive. It kind of what keeps people watching. Like, ooh.
Then, of course, the halftime shows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this actually brings up a question.
Yeah.
This is kind of a question that comes from the podcast with Mark and Tyler. Cheerleading and marching band. Would you consider those sports?
Ooh, I love this discussion. I was hoping we were going to bring this up. The discussion of, is this a sport? Because I've got some too. Is this a sport? This could be like a controversial topic, but I love it. Like, this adds to the discussion. Is this a sport? Cheerleading, I would say 100% yes as a sport, just to me. Just because you're doing this for a certain amount of time. Like, yes, you're doing this for sort of in the shadow of a different sport. You could argue that, like, well, is it really a sport if you're sort of doing this as a supplement to another sport? But also, there's a lot of athletics involved in cheerleading. There's a lot of nuances involved, these sort of moves and everything. I think, yes, it's a sport. I mean, you have to have athletes, you have to have tryouts, you have to, like, some people don't make it. So, yeah, I think it's a sport.
I would put cheerleading on par with gymnastics.
Yeah, I would too.
On par with gymnastics.
Yeah, I would too. To me, they kind of go hand in hand a little bit.
Another sport I did try cheerleading. I did 1 year of it, decided it was not for me, and said no. And I can't even tell you what I didn't like about it because I don't really remember, but I just remember that not even, well, that didn't help.
Right.
That didn't help. But I don't know. I just didn't particularly like, and I think it might have been part of me just not particularly liking contact with other people.
Oh,
I don't like being touched constantly, and there is no
sport.
There's no sport with more physical contact.
Cheerleading is probably one of the
cheerleading because you're constantly doing lifts and falls and catches and all that stuff. Yeah. And I was not about that. I didn't like it.
In football, the contact is more of, I'm going to take you down, or I'm going to block you, and it's brief. Well, the blocking not so much, but like the lineman, that's not so brief. But
oddly enough, and this is probably going to paint me in a very odd.
No,
picture,
go ahead.
But I do agree. Like, cheerleading would definitely, for me, kind of
I consider it a sport. I consider it a sport.
I would definitely consider it a sport.
Yeah.
Like, especially depending on the people who
now,
are
there's no...
in it.
No, okay, it's, there's no who wins or loses. That's not really a thing in cheerleading, as far as I know, unless
There's
it's...
cheerleading competitions.
Yes, I was just about to say that. If it's a cheerleading competition, yes. But if you're doing cheerleading to sort of support your, like, a team, then sure, like, the cheerleading is not winning or losing, but I still consider it a sport. I think a sport can be a sport, even if there's not, like, a winner or a loser.
In a D&D kind of way, you can look at it as cheerleading being bardic inspiration.
Hey, yes, the cheerleaders are the bards. Yes, I like that a lot.
Nice.
But, okay, so...
You also mentioned marching band, though.
Yes, but, real quick.
Yeah.
The cheerleading thing, like, oddly enough, there was an on-again, off-again joke with me when it came to cheerleading. The cheerleaders actually tried to recruit me to join the cheerleaders.
In high school?
In high school, yes.
Wow.
They legitimately were trying to recruit me into the cheerleaders.
They were just hitting on you, probably.
Potentially.
That'd be my guess. They were just hitting on you.
Another thing I didn't find out till after I graduated was apparently I was one of the most popular kids in school.
See, there you go.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know it at the time.
But another part
like
of it
me,
was...
you're probably an awkward kid, you know.
For the record, I am married to Adam. Yeah, that editor is wife. Yeah, no, I had a lot of... I was 2 grades below him in school. We went to the same school together. I was 2 grades below him. I had some senior girls very angry at me when we were dating in school.
They actually did kind of try to recruit me into the cheerleaders, mostly for the reasons of I was a very flexible guy.
Yeah.
Like, of all the guys in my high school, I was probably one of the most flexible.
We didn't have any guy cheerleaders.
No, we didn't.
There were no guys on the cheerleading team. It was all girls.
And here's the thing. Like, I almost considered, legitimately, I actually considered taking them up on it. Because, number one, it was a sport that looked interesting to me.
Yeah.
Number two, it kind of played to something that I was good at. I was a flexible kid. And, like, I was really good at the stick twirl. Like, baton and stuff like that. I was good at that.
Yeah. Ooh.
And number three, and this is kind of a selfish, and this is going to paint me in a terrible light, I would be in the cheerleading group with all the hot senior girls.
Oh, yeah.
I would get to touch the hot senior girls and not get slapped for it.
100%. You're doing... Hey, man, I'm touching her butt because that's my job. She's supposed to go up in the air.
I'm doing
my job.
I love the stereotype.
You can legally touch her butt and
I love the stereotype
not get in trouble.
Guys would give other guys so much for being on the cheerleading group. Yeah. Like, dude, they can't believe you're a cheerleader. Dude, I get to touch girls' all day.
Yeah, I get more than you do. So,
I get to touch... I have literally touched the of every single chick on the cheerleading squad.
And you don't get to say that.
You can't give me...
Chad McChaddington, you don't get to say that. You know, I get more ass than you do. Yeah.
And yes, I know this paints me in an absolutely terrible light. And
no, it doesn't, not I think every single dude probably would agree with you. Like, yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
At the same time, that was actually what kept me from joining them, because again, I grew up in that bumpkin redneck town setting.
Oh yeah, we all
where
did.
If I had joined the cheerleaders, I was gonna get shat on like no one's business.
From a bunch of rednecks.
From, like, all my classmates and all the rednecks.
You just wanted to avoid that kind of drama.
Yeah, I was going through enough crap in high school as it was. I didn't want to add to the list.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
So that's kind of what deterred me from actually trying it. I mean, for all I know, I probably would have hated it.
Yeah.
Because, again, depth perception,
yeah. Oh, it would suck to be in a position where you throw a girl up in the air and you have to catch her. But depth perception is a thing, and she just kind of lands on you, and like there's an injury. That would kind of suck, you know.
Are you saying I'm fat? No, I'm saying you landed on my back.
Yeah. Yep. Good times.
But as for marching band,
okay, this is a good one.
Yeah, marching band.
I am firmly in the camp that yes, marching band is also a sport. My nephew was he's graduated at this point, but when he was in high school, he was in marching band. And it is hot.
Yeah.
And they have to take perfect formations and some of them tote around big freaking instruments to do this, I 100% would say that that's a sport in and of itself.
Okay. Adam? I'm saving mine for last.
Okay. It's hard for me to really say. I'm not going to
be honest.
Like, I'm not going to say that it's it's too easy to be a sport, because I would be lying to myself.
Yeah.
Because she's right. You're basically having to practice all these drills, and
there are band
staying
competitions
in
too.
Perfect formation, and all this whatnot. You're having to retain breath control to play your instrument if you're playing a woodwind or a tuba. Mm-hmm. And even if you're just playing drums, you have to be marching and drum to the beat that you're supposed to at the same time, which is not easy.
Yes.
But
as somebody I was in band too. We didn't have a marching band, but I was in band too, and I'm sitting there going, I don't know that I could do it. Mm-hmm. Point blank, I don't know that I could do what I did in band while marching on a hot field and keep up with everybody else.
Yeah.
And I will probably have people who will yell at me for this.
Oh no, it's fine.
But
I might actually say the same thing. I don't know. Go ahead.
I actually don't think I could consider marching band a sport.
Yeah.
Now
it's a tough call.
I will definitely say it's not easy. But from my viewpoint, I would consider it more of, like, as weird as it is, I would almost kind of consider it like military training.
Military training. I mean, there's similarities. There's a few parallels.
There's parallels to marching band and military drills.
Right.
Because, like, there's kind of that same...
like military marching drills. Yeah. They're pretty similar.
That's more what I would... Yeah. That's more what I would classify it as versus sports. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying it's easy in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
But I personally can't just sit here and say it would be a sport.
Right. Okay. So my take is, I'm honestly, I am pretty torn on this one, just because I think that if we say that cheerleading is a sport, I think I have to say that marching band is also a sport. I think I have to say that, just because there's a lot of similarities there too, where a lot of times the marching band is in support of the sports team. They have to go out and they have to perform, and there are like, normally, just for to support the sports team, yes, it's not a win or lose, kind of like cheerleading, but as our editor pointed out, there can be marching band competitions, just like there can be cheerleading competitions. So I think because of some of those parallels, if we say that cheerleading is a sport, I think I also have to say that a marching band would probably also be a sport.
And I mean, if you watch,
if it's me,
like the big professional sports teams where they have these marching bands that are upwards of 100 or more people walking and moving in formation and whatnot. Like, that's teamwork if you ever said anything.
So I've got one for you. So a marching band is a performance, right? You're putting on a performance for a crowd as a marching band. So we could ask that question, is a marching band a sport? Some people think yes, some people think no. But in that same vein, is a theater play performance, is that a sport?
No.
Okay, good.
I can't...
Good. Now, there are some differences, because you're putting on a play and a performance, and there are tryouts. Mm-hmm. But I actually agree. I don't think a play performance, theater performance, is a sport.
No, like theater...
Theater's its own thing.
Yeah, theater is its own thing completely.
They're just... you have to say, though, there are some parallels to theater
definitely.
performance
with
sports.
I was in a play. Yeah, and there is physicality to that.
There are tryouts. So it is a bit of a competition, especially if you have someone else who's trying out for the same part as you are. Definitely. You have to fit a certain role, and you have to sort of do that cadence where you're performing. You have to do your part, and so you have to train. So there's some practice involved. So there are some parallels.
Oh yeah, there are definitely parallels.
But I do agree, play performance is not a sport.
I have a very vehement opinion of this.
Okay.
But fishing.
Oh, fishing? I think the answer could be either yes or no, depending on the context of the fishing. Because the fishing competitions, I think that's a sport. Like the fishing competitions, I think that is a sport. But if you just go out and fish just to catch fish, no, that's not a sport. I think it's either it could be yes or no.
I'm of the opposite mind.
Yeah.
I can't make myself think fishing is a sport.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people out there who's going to yell at me, and I'm fully aware of that because there are people who are very like pro fishermen. But
so if it's not a sport, what is it?
It's a hobby.
Okay.
Fishing is just strictly a hobby.
So even the competitive, you're saying it's just a competitive hobby. It's not a sport, is what you're saying.
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
Because I'm sorry, like I grew up with fishing.
I see.
And like my dad was even part of fishing competitions, like locally and whatnot. But I can't just think of fishing and I think, man, this is a heart-riveting sport.
All right. So what about?
It's a thing of like you're sitting there waiting for hours on end or tens of minutes on end for something to bite your line and then you maybe or maybe not getting it.
Okay.
And you're fly fishing and stuff. There are more active versions.
Now fly fishing is more of a technical kind of fishing.
Yeah.
Very much a technical kind of
fishing. Fly fishing is more technical,
fishing.
More active than just casting a line and sitting and waiting. And even those, like, there's strategy and bait and what you're specifically looking for and like bait and hook and lure for a specific kind of fish you're looking for and whatnot.
Right.
Like you might use this one thing for a bass versus this other thing for a catfish. There's strategy to an extent.
There's some technical strategies to it. Yeah.
I'm kind of with him though that I don't feel like it's a sport. I really don't.
Okay. So in by that logic, I assume you say that hunting is also not a sport.
No.
Hunting is not a sport. Even like competitive hunting in the same vein. Okay.
Hunting, fishing, all that kind of whatnot, that's a hobby and it's a supplier.
Don't get us wrong. Hunting and fishing, like, I have deer meat in the fridge right now. 100%, I have deer meat in the fridge right now. Well, freezer.
You're not saying you don't support hunting. What you're saying is you don't think hunting or fishing is a sport.
I don't think it's a sport. I don't think it qualifies as a sport.
All right.
Yes, to me, hunting, fishing, and all the sports that are akin to that do not qualify as a sport.
I feel
it's a hobby.
I feel like it's much like theater. It's its own thing. I don't think it qualifies as a sport. I'm a little more generous, as I don't think it's just a hobby. I think it's like theater and it's its own thing.
So, by your definition of sport, are you saying there needs to be some athletics involved in the sport? Not just technicalities, but there also needs to be some athletic competition there. Is that kind of what you're saying? Because I think we're kind of in the vein of we need to define what a sport is. You know,
for us, I suppose so.
Okay,
because like golf is technically a sport.
I was just about to ask. Okay, that's what I was leading to. I was trying to lead. Is golf a sport?
I do consider golf a sport,
even though it's kind of the same level of athletics as fishing. You have to admit.
Okay.
See, this is why I wanted to do this. I'm so happy right now. I'm so happy.
Here's my argument. Yes. Here's my argument. Okay. Here's my argument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with hunting and fishing.
Yeah.
Yes, there is certain tact and strategy to it.
Right.
I will admit that. Because with like hunting and fishing, there's different baits, there's different lures, there's different scents that you can give off and stuff like that, ammo, lures, and just all that whatnot. Yes, that's strategical thinking.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't qualify as a sport to me. However, the thing that differentiates like stuff like bowling and golf from hobby sports like fishing and hunting is the factor that there are actual like guidelines with golf and bowling.
Are there no guidelines to fishing?
Not really. I mean
there are laws and regulations.
I suppose what he's trying to say is with fishing it's going to vary from competition to competition.
Right.
Like it's going to be different competitions, different for each competition. Whereas stuff like bowling, a strike is a strike is a strike.
Yeah.
You're gonna get up to 300, somewhere between 0 and 300 every game. Mm-hmm. The rules are the same for every competition. The only variance is how many are you playing. And then for golf, it's the same thing. It's the less holes, the better, or the less hits per hole, the better.
You want a low score in golf.
You want a low score.
With bowling and golf, it's a thing of the most difference in bowling and golf is the terrain. For bowling, it's wet alleys versus dry wet lanes versus dry lanes. Mm-hmm. For golf, it's like high grass, low grass.
Oh, the green versus
the sand and all that other whatnot.
Right.
And there's the rulings of where you have to hit the ball. There's rulings of
what happens if it goes.
What happens if it goes
or out of
a certain boundary and whatnot. There's rulings on all that kind of different stuff. And I watched the podcast episode of Go My Favorite Sports Team where it was literally the golf primer, and there is shit that goes on in golf that makes no sense.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are guidelines and bylaws to the bylaws for the guidelines, and then there are gray areas to that guideline.
There's a lot of rules and boundaries.
There's a lot of rules and boundaries to golf.
That you're saying don't exist in, like, fishing, for example.
Exactly.
I just have one small, quick topic. I know we're kind of going, like, over on time and everything. We can maybe do this quickly, but favorite sports movies. Do you guys have any favorite sports movies? Maybe you guys don't have some. I do have some.
How about you go first?
You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
Give us an idea.
I do have some favorite sports movies. So, I don't like the sport of baseball. I'm not a fan of baseball, but one of the best, I consider this a sports movie, is Sandlot.
Oh, Sandlot.
So I think Sandlot is a sports movie. Like, it's not like competitive or anything, but it has a lot to do with baseball. And it is like a coming of age movie, but baseball is a big theme in it. So I do consider Sandlot to be like a sports movie, I guess. I don't know. Is it a sports movie? Now I'm kind of questioning myself. But I love Sandlot because there's baseball in the movie. Another one of mine is... This may be my favorite sports movie. No, actually it's not, but it is really high up there. But it is The Replacements with Keanu Reeves. It is an American football movie, but it's about a team who a lot of the team goes on strike. And so while they're on strike, they have to sort of bring in these retired football players to come in on and play, and they have to kind of come together as a community and keep the team alive and play. That movie is great. If you guys haven't seen The Replacements with Keanu Reeves, amazing sports movie. It's really, really good. My favorite sports movies, those of all time, are the Rocky Balboa movies. All right, y'all's favorite sports movie. Do y'all have any sports movies that you guys like?
I can't say much on sports movies because I didn't really watch many. The only sports-related media that I can speak for.
Yeah.
My mom was very big into Friday Night Lights, the TV show about the American football team.
I never saw that series.
My mom was very big into it, and I watched that some with her. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed it for what it was, but I mean, like, I was early teens when that was big on TV, so I can't even really speak much for that. I can't speak much. The only sports media I'm really familiar with would be that the Rocky movies.
Oh, so have you seen them? Did you like them?
My dad loved them. Okay. I watched those with him all the time.
Oh man, so some of the newer ones are actually really good. Yeah.
Well, the older ones is all I can speak for.
Okay.
And I did enjoy those too.
In terms of sports movies, I mentioned earlier that my dad was a big boxing fan. Yeah. So of course, Rocky Balboa was a commonplace in my house. I would probably say, and this is gonna pay me in such a childish light, my favorite sports movie...
Space Jam?
Yep.
Yeah, Space Jam. That was my favorite one as a kid growing up.
Okay, I can actually speak for one, and it's of the same kind of... I don't know, did you ever see the movie Air Buds?
Oh, yeah, I did. The dog. Yeah.
Dogs. I loved that movie as a kid.
There you go.
Like, as a kid, that was one of... I owned it. Yeah. And for a while, it played on repeat.
Oh, uh-huh.
When I got my TV as a kid, it was in the DVD player, and it played on repeat for a while.
Yeah.
Or, I guess, VHS back.
Yeah.
No, it was that borderline right as VHS moved over to DVD.
Okay.
And I owned it on DVD, and it played on repeat for a while.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't say that one.
Air Buds.
Again,
that's a sports movie. Yeah. That was a sports movie.
Yeah. Space Jam was basically...
Space Jam was great.
if you were to put all the sports movies in front of me and make me choose, I would have to say Space Jam would be the movie that I would put as like my favorite sports movie.
Yeah.
Because technically, yes, it is about a sport. It's basketball. It has Michael Jordan in it.
Yes.
I've not seen the new one.
So weird to me.
It is. I've gone back and tried to watch Space Jams as an adult, and I gotta say, like, a lot of the marketing, because you go back and watch Space Jam now, there's a lot of weird, like, political marketing stuff, especially in, like, the first half of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of cringe, like, I've gotta say.
So, like, yeah, I watched the Rocky movies. Space Jam, like I said, would be my favorite. I've seen Remember the Titans.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that
and
one.
I've seen a good assortment of sports movies. Mm-hmm. Not gonna lie, I kind of fell asleep during a lot of them.
Fair enough.
Or I just watched them because that's all that there was on.
Adrian!
But yeah, Space Jam was basically the one movie that I did watch because Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we have been going on for a good long while. This has been probably the longest episode we've done on a subject I didn't think we were actually even going to have much to talk about.
Very true, but I had to play. Is it a sport? we had to do that. We had to.
I thought I was going to struggle with getting an hour at least out of this.
Sign up to our Patreon so that you get the extended version of this because we're probably going to edit this now. Our editor's probably going to edit this now.
Oh yeah,
that'd be me.
She's gonna have fun doing this. Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and call the episode here. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe.
If you want me to hear more.
That's definitely gonna be.
If you like hearing this wonderful woman's voice.
Oh my god. Play it up.
Oh, you know I will, darling. But yeah,
we need us a woman on our podcast. Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, both of y'all are bad.
Yeah.
They don't call us ADHD and sarcasm for nothing. Sarcasm emphasis.
Very true. Very true.
Head over to the Patreon. Watch the full video on YouTube and all the other
all the social media
platforms,
stuff. All the social
medias.
Stuff, yeah.
TikTok, Facebook Reels,
interact
YouTube
with us.
Shorts.
Leave us a comment and say,
leave us comments. Talk to us.
Is chess a sport? Is Magic the Gathering a sport? I don't know. Let us know.
What do you think?
Sport? Yeah.
Where's your line of what's a sport and what's not?
But leave us some comments on stuff that y'all might actually want us to talk about. Maybe we might roll it on the wheel. Anyway, I'm Adam.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Kat.
And this has been the No One Cares podcast.
Bye.
We love you all.